police my speech.
My story is not armed robbery.
My story is not armed robbery.
Don't police my speech.
Don't police my.
On May 10, 2024, a coalition of Nigerian journalists and civic space defenders, Gatefeed, staged a protest at the Federal Ministry of Justice, calling for an end to the unjust harassment of journalists exercising their civic rights. The peaceful protest, involving over 200 journalists and civic space activists, was tagged "Don't Police My Speech." Our correspondent, Gideon Alpha, tells us more.
It's time for our speech to be safeguarded.
Protesters marched with signs reading "End Abuse of Power" and "Stop the Criminalization of Free of Speech by Nigerian Authority." Shirley Ewang, advocacy lead at Gatefeed, highlighted the misuse of the Cybercrime Act, originally intended to combat online criminal activities. She pointed out that journalists and online dissenters are increasingly targeted with weaponized attacks aimed at silencing press freedom, despite the recent amendment to Section 24 of the Cybercrime Act. Ewang described these actions as violations of the Nigerian Constitution by security agency. The activist urged leaders to prioritize the fight against insurgencies while upholding the fundamental principle of freedom of expression.
Earlier on this year, Chioma Okoli, who gave just a simple review of a tomato paste that she bought with her own funds, she was unjustly arrested. Daniel Ojukwu was arrested just a few months ago as well. In fact, he was abducted. His family didn't even know where they were. It's time for us to ensure that we have the right to freely express ourselves as guaranteed in the Nigerian Constitution, as well as the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, which Nigeria is a signatory to. But I think it's important for every Nigerian citizen to understand that our freedom of speech is currently being policed. Rise and join the fight for freedom of expression in Nigeria today.
Consequently, Jide Oyekunle, chairman of the Nigeria Union of Journalists, FCT Correspondents Chapel, detailed the dire situation faced by the Nigerian media. He emphasized that for the country to achieve true democracy, the media's right to freely express themselves must be protected.
We need to remind the government, Nigerian government, that they have that moral obligation. They have that legal obligation to protect the fundamental human rights of every Nigerian citizen, including that of freedom of expression and press freedom. Now, Nigerian government is a signatory to the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 19, which guarantees freedom of press. So, for the government and the government officials to continue to clamp down on media, I think it is a no-no. And we will not abdicate our responsibility as journalists to protect, to speak, to uphold the fundamental objective of the Constitution as spelled out in the chapter.
On their part, legal practitioner and digital rights activist Mojurayo Ogunlano and Ejiro Umukoro, executive director of Lightrace Media, lamented that within the first year of President Bola Tinubu's administration, over 25 journalists have been arrested, harassed and criminalized under the pretext of cybercrime law, underscoring the need for the government to cease stifling the media's role in sustaining democracy.
The new trend that we have found out is the use of the Cybercrimes Act. Journalists being harassed by the police, and that is unacceptable.
As clearly stated in the various sections from Section 22 and Section 39, empowering both the citizens as well as journalists. So when any government, no matter who they are or where they are, they try to muzzle journalists, it's another way of muzzling up citizens.
The group expressed their exhaustion with the continuous and unlawful harassment of journalists in the country and emphasized the need for the increased awareness to change this narrative. Gideon Alpha, Quality News, Nigeria.